Well, well, well. If it isn't my lifelong nemesis, Jack Panic.
It's me.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Hi.
Caught me in the middle of
How you doing?
Man, I am a little bit speechless, my friend. I did not
I
think
know.
today would go the way it's gone. How are you
Oh,
feeling?
relief, relief. I was
Oh,
quite anxious for the last, I don't know, 2 weeks. So
it's
I'm feeling less
it's been
anxious.
such a
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello, the internet. I'm Cameron, Dangerous Strittmatter, host and warden of the Panic Table. If we haven't met before, and if you're watching this, there's a good chance you have, or you've just recently happened upon us and our new module for Mothership here on Mothership Month called Dog Eat Dog, which is $5 away as of 3 seconds ago from approaching $12,000. That's what our funding goal was, just 5K today. So to like hit well over 200% in the first 10 hours is blowing my mind. It's just been, I don't know. Jack,
Uh,
the last time we did, ugh,
just happy. I don't know
it's
what to tell you. I'm just happy.
it's man, I think doing such a thing, especially with like a group project, it's been so cool to meet behind the scenes all these other like third party publishers and talk with the Tuesday Night Game folks, just as we all put these projects together. And we had a similar experience when we were working on our first BackerKit project with Voidstream for Mothership, that we're still
Yeah.
working on presently. But
Yeah.
yeah, just to see it just pop off like this,
Um,
I'm feeling
so
deeply
cool.
thankful. Yeah.
I am too, and I'm yeah, super appreciative because like um Mothership doesn't, games are built on the back of people of the community, right? Like you can't play games without
Mm,
people, but you know, they don't have to help out. They don't have to. There's nothing requiring them to figure out an initiative to get 20 plus projects going, so that while they're launching a flagship book, the rest of us can us bottom feeders can get a little of that good stuff. It's very very cool.
there's
Yes, voice
I
stream.
mean, just listening to the like prospecting of these different third party publishers, and yeah, just like the very normal feeling of like, hey, like, is it going to dilute the pool if everybody is having to, I don't know how I'm going to afford backing all of these projects. I'm really excited to to do that, but yeah, I mean, having a 10,000 pound gorilla like Tuesday Night Games in the mix in the middle of us,
Yeah,
still it's only proved this rising tide approach to crowdfunding, and it's blowing my, I mean,
mhm,
is
yeah,
everybody funded? No, there's the core wars is so close to being funded. So gosh, it's the first day, y'all, and this entire giant backer
yeah.
kit endeavor is almost over the top. Wild. So
And I
um
mean, there every project is really cool. I mean, obviously, there was a lot of planning. I mean, I'm not surprised that people want the games, but to like for yeah, I mean, like this is kind of brand new, right? Like this many games backing side to side. I kind of expected it to happen a little longer. I thought it would happen, but I thought everybody would get it would take a little bit more time. But man, and look at us.
Jack, I've
I
been
mean,
terribly rude.
have you?
I've spent all that time talking about myself and what we're doing, and I haven't even introduced you other than as an arch nemesis of sorts. I
Oh,
want to here. Okay, did you mind if I tell your origin story in my life? Is that something?
sure.
I've
Yeah.
been a long time admirer of Dungeon Club, which is Jack's operation here for probably since the pandemic on TikTok. The stuff that I assumed until earlier this year that the person I'm talking to now was for people, as far as like the amount of incredible content that you put out, the imaginative one shot bits that you're doing. It, gosh, I mean, you just put out these crazy carousels on Instagram and TikTok of dungeon freebies at a rate that I can't fathom. I mean, you're also a dad and you're running your own business and you're a professional dungeon master. Anyway, it's an honor to be working with you. And how did our
That's
meet?
very
I
cool.
think I just like shot you a message as the Panic Table. Is
Yeah, you
that
just hit me up. You had hit me up and had said something, and then about a week later, you did a carousel post, and
that's right.
you made a carousel post. I think you hit me up mostly because you were afraid that you were encroaching on maybe my vibe. I have people do that all the time. Like, hey, I'm trying to say your thing. I'm like, you mean put words on paper? The whole thing that, like, what do you mean still my vibe?
It is an art form.
It's words. Words of our games. No, I think you just hit me up to make sure that the vibe checks were cool, that I wasn't upset. But I love the post. I thought it was very cool. And then
it's
then
been a match made in heaven ever since.
Making buddies.
Well, and then we formed what we informally for now call the Panic Institute, where the Panic Table and Jack Panic come together to make spooky things. So here we are now on the internet, having funded this project, and there's people in the pool. Jack, look on the internet. They're over there. They're watching us, and they're saying things in the box. We're getting some
Nick.
dog noises.
Hi, Nick.
In there.
I see. Tuesday night gave us a salute. All the homies. Look. Yes, I
dope.
love that. What are we doing? How should we?
Why have I brought you here, Jack?
Did you have a pitch? Do you have? Are we playing a game, or
I wanted to talk to you a bit about a timeshare opportunity. Actually, it's something that seems like it's going to be expensive. Now that we have a little bit of money, I was hoping you could spend your cut on us. So one thing first, I want to answer this question I'm seeing here in the chat.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Will the Panic Table be released in podcast format? That is an excellent question. The amount of work to do such a thing, especially for season 1, is something that we have been staring up at for almost a year now and are girding our loins to do. The good news is we're about to drop an all new season of the Panic Table, a mini series that corresponds with this module here called Dog Eat Dog, and that one we are calibrating to come out cleanly as both podcast and video. So we're excited to crank that out for your surprise and dismay as it comes out on the web. Actually, shout out to Many-Sided Media. If you haven't checked them out, they've been hugely helpful in our endeavor. One of the cast members of Dog Eat Dog is Chinook Tissera, who's part of their 4-person company. But they do amazing stuff like My First Dungeon, Talk at the Table, and the 20-Sided Newsletter, and have been... We found out that they were like neighbors here in New York City, and it's been super cool to get to know Brian and Elliot and
Brian was our first backer today.
Brian, if you are, God bless you. Yeah, that handsome boy.
Yeah.
Jack,
doggies.
Yeah, I had a little question for you here. Yeah, we'll both monitor the chat as we go, but there are 21 friggin' projects going on here. Which ones as we sit here just watching these numbers rocket entirely because of these beautiful people here? What projects have caught your eye? What's tickling your fancy?
Well, there's a bunch of really cool stuff, right? There is the one that is, I'm terrible with names. Death Pays All. There's one that's just like a giant apartment building that is very like it's giving me like Judge Dredd or Dredd vibes.
Ooh, yeah.
And that looks really cool. Of course, anything the lone archivist makes is going to be. I'm going to pour over and steal as many ideas from as possible.
I'm pouring over it right now to look into. I'm loving these. Lone also devised all of these amazing little flare badges.
Those little tokens. Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, aren't they cool?
Yeah,
I'm seeing the Death Pays All Debts, the Octopus Inc. game.
Death Pays All Debts. Exciting. Yeah. Death Pays All Debts. That looks awesome. There is, like I said, I'm terrible at names. There's one that's like investigation, like detective vibe.
We're talking about that tomorrow night, actually. With the Interloper with Joel Hines of Silverarm.
I back that because that looks awesome. There's just so many of them, and I don't have enough money to back all of them, which is which is a bummer. I'll tell you what, we'll just for sure. We'll have to
right. Well, right now the it's so funny. Built into this, like behind the curtain on BackerKit, there's this thing called like the Backer Tracker. It's a plugin that you can actually install on any
Backer Tracker
like fundraising website to see what it does. But in the first day of a campaign, it wildly overestimates what you're going to do. There was about 10 minutes when it was like, you're going to make $100 million off of this. It is now dropped to 150,000. But we'll
You're gonna
we'll
make
see
if
how
you
the
keep making
campaign
money this way,
goes.
you'll have $5 million.
Whew.
That would be terrifying. I don't want that
Yeah,
much.
I'm really
Um,
excited about a few of these. The honestly, the Survivors of the Core War, the card deck, one of the things that really sticks out to me is specifically not having enough like quick draw NPCs. So I found that
yeah,
extremely attractive.
100%. Also, I
Um,
think that they're
yeah,
pretty big. I think that they're not like playing card size. I think they're more
yeah,
like flashcard size is what I saw. And
they're big boys.
I like things to hold when I'm playing games, especially now that I play mostly online. It's nice to have tactile, actual stuff to do with your hands. So those are gonna be nice.
It's tough starting this conversation about which ones really stick out because now that I'm looking at them, well, I'm glad that we'll be spending the month doing these fireside chats with the different third
Yeah,
party publishers. So look out for that, the internet, because it's exciting.
the internet.
But we'll be sitting down with a lot of the publishers here, and talking about that. We have Joel tomorrow night talking about the Interloper, calling in bless his heart from like 1 a.m. in Spain, and that's just gonna be how it's gonna be. But I guess it's I can't just choose one of these. They're all so beautiful. And I digress. Jack, we made a module about dogs, and I want to talk about that with you.
I think it's important that we talk about that. We haven't
I
talked about
think
it
it's
yet, so we
important.
should really.
We haven't, and it's really been an obstacle to our creative process. So maybe
I don't like talking about
now that
dogs,
we
so that's
not even,
my one
do
thing.
you like
I don't.
dags?
Do you like dogs?
Yeah. Thank you. Good
Yeah.
night. This is
Do we
our
want we want to talk about specifically? What do you want to talk about?
I
Dogs.
I wanted
Cameron?
to
Tell me
start at
what you want to talk
30,000
about
feet
dogs.
here. I think
Okay.
both of you and I are being white guys in our late 30s. Are How old are you? Am I in my late 30s and you're slightly younger? Let's make this what the stream is about, actually.
Oh, I'll be 38 this month.
Oh, okay,
The
yeah.
docs
So
ones.
we're
Yeah.
comparably wizened, but both of us have been fed a sugary diet of pop culture the entirety of our lives. And so I wanted to
Yeah.
ask here at the start of thing for you, what are your sci-fi horror pop culture touch points when you think about dogs in cinema or in
The
storytelling in
Thing.
general? For me, it's
The
movies.
Thing.
The Thing.
The Thing. You say science fiction dog horror, and I think puppets. Actually, that's if you want the real answer. I think
Right.
practical effects and puppets. That's what I've always been obsessed with. Um, I don't think that I actually enjoy the tension of horror movies as much as I enjoy the execution of them.
Say more about that.
I find that making vibes, making people scared is such an interesting thing to do when you're not just like shocking people, right? Getting in people's getting into the subconscious, and then when we come from an era of like when you couldn't just put everything through a computer, how did you achieve that? And
Right.
the pseudo break and like uh, your suspension of disbelief sometimes because of practical effects in my mind makes the movie feel better. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I
My
love
mind
puppets.
immediately goes
Is
back
basically
to
the
Milo and Otis. Do you remember that one?
yeah.
And I don't know if that
But
was
that does
practical or if they just those just real
they
puppies
just
they
I think
like
they were
put
just
in
following
baskets
them.
and
I
threw in
think
the
they were
river,
just
right?
following them. Yeah, I think they
Yeah.
I don't think it's I don't think it's
Horrifying.
now unlike our adventure where there'll be no actual dying dead dogs. So we Dog Eat Dog 1, Milo and Otis 0.
We're getting some
And
good dog
that's the stream.
suggestions here in this Dog Soldiers. I actually saw it for the first time this weekend while I was like stress watching that and working on some post for our actual play of Dog Eat Dog. But oh yeah, I'm trying to think too of other things where like dogs are a surprising addition to that. We made what I thought would at first be a fluff piece about who's the goodest boy on our BackerKit page, a poll that's still ongoing right now. I think we're approaching like 100 contributions to it. It's quite thorough, and it's because you have the top minds in the business thinking about this. But right now, I think who's holding the top? Is it still Ein from Cowboy Bebop?
It was Ein, yeah, and people were adamant about that.
Right.
I can pull it. I can pull it up. Poochie got way more votes than I thought. Poochie from The Simpsons.
5% is not nothing.
Then I realized that Poochie hate is the point of the episode of The Simpsons. So I
Right.
probably was just projecting the people in the world of The Simpsons, their opinion of Poochie onto Poochie, and maybe people like Poochie as a bit. It's a funny bit.
I want to talk about Ein for a second.
I love Ein.
It stands out to me because it's so. I had just entirely forgot. Like, what is it that's so appealing about Ein, and why do you think it fits so perfectly in both sci-fi and horror?
Well, first of all, Cowboy Bebop is just a perfect specimen. There's just nothing wrong with it. And Ein is so fun because he's a data dog, right? So he's
Right.
easily as smart as anyone. He's as intelligent as the rest of the crew. We know that. I think maybe only Radical Edward understands that. That Ein is actually like a hyper powered, super smart dog. But
right.
I think it only really works because corgis are so cute that it's not off putting. Right? Because if you had a human level intelligence in any other dog, that's just scary. Like you don't want to know that your dog can process and see you for the shameful mess that you are, and react to you like a person would. You know what I mean? That's terrifying. So it only
that's a sanity save right there, man. Dang.
Yeah. But I don't. It's great. I think that we will definitely have to add some sort of hyper intelligent corgi. Not close enough where we're infringing on any copyright, of course, but I like that idea so much.
Should we shamelessly plug our module?
Is it shameful to plug the thing that we're talking about? Is that?
I don't think so.
One, I don't think so.
Absolutely obsessed. Jack designed this overlay here, and I think I need to either get the tattoo of or like design a patch that is that icon in the bottom right hand corner, because nothing so perfectly explains dog eat dog like those three icons, and I'm over the moon. It is exquisite. No notes.
Thank you.
But yeah, I want to relive the beginning of this because full confession here on live internet television. We've been working on this together for 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Is that true?
Yeah.
We've written and created so much. That's not true. It's been more than. It's been like 2 months.
I mean, I knew about we've talked about the actual play. So
right.
It's not like we weren't talking about it, but as far as like getting into, we were just, because of the nature of the two projects being so back to back, I didn't want to get into get too full force on the next project before the one that was already down the pipeline. I wanted it to be rolling. So
right.
I could I need multiple things anyways. My brain just really requires a couple of things to kick around. So it just means that the old TikTok's going to be getting the axe. Sorry about that. I make no money on that platform, so
TikTok,
they can suck it. Suck it. But yeah, we've been talking about it on and off, but as far as like diving into it, making starting to get through all the beats, yeah, it's been really fun. And this is just like been a ton of fun because I'm so used, especially because I for the uninitiated, I make a lot of stuff. Not all of it's great. I'm not claiming that it's good, but I do make a lot of stuff. I post I don't know, anywhere from like 4 to 8 times a week, just depending on whatever the flow is.
Right.
But it's nice. I've been doing that so consistently for like a year and a half now that it's nice that I was like, oh, I just get to take the ideas and I just get to add the bits to them. I don't have to, it's just collaboration's fun and it's nice. It makes the experience more varied and far more palatable and less of a grind. It's just it's creatively exciting to have sounding boards and other people's ideas. And
This was an especially exciting thing because we knew that Mothership Month was coming for the better part of this year. We had just finished working on Unaccompanied Minors season 1, and had been like chatting with Sean and Alan over at Tuesday Night Games, and probably about 2 months ago, Sean was like, "Hey man, if you've already designed a whole world around this, you should probably just be a part of the BackerKit, right? That only makes sense." And so I digitally kicked down your door and was like, "Jack, wake up, we have to make another module." And you said, "How did you get in here?" And I said, "There's no time." And once your family stopped screaming, we sat down, we lit the coffee burners, and we got to work. Is that accurate? That's all canonical?
I think that all sounds right. I don't know. I haven't slept a lot in the last few days, so I think that that's probably correct. I wouldn't argue with it, at least. Cameron, there you are. Disappeared. Oh, Midnight Tavern. We got the retail pack for you.
Coming through.
What is happening? I cannot hear you. No, I can't hear you. Yeah, you're breaking up. Well, good. Now that Cameron's gone, we can really get to it, guys. Oh, damn it. He's back. It's like the most obvious joke to make when somebody leaves. From now on, when somebody goes offline, I am going to instead talk about how much I love them. Like, oh my God, if only he knew. If only he knew.
Okay. It's looking like I'm back. Am I part of this?
I think you're back.
Yeah, I think
you're back. If you got to jump ship, I can
okay.
run this. Turn off your torrent tracker, Cameron.
All right, no, there we go. I don't know what. Yeah, I just have this microwave that I keep right next to the modem, and every time I need to heat up some soup. I want to talk about Wages of Sin. We saw a really cool conversation between Alan and Sean for the primary BackerKit bit.
Yeah,
and they brought up something interesting. Somebody in the chat was like, "Okay, what's the deal? Like, crime is not necessarily science fiction or horror. Bounty hunting does not necessarily tie directly into themes that you would think." So I want to hear a little bit about what comes to your mind when you're like, prison setting, science fiction. What are the building blocks to creating a good adventure and then telling that story at a table?
Well, if you don't think that prisons and science fiction don't mix, you've never seen Aliens 3. That would be my response. The best Aliens movie.
I'm a Pitch Black man myself, as far as like
I love
Prisoners.
I love Pitch Black.
Oh,
I love Chronicles of
so
Riddick. The video game. The video game is so good. Butcher's Bay or whatever. I think prison. I think space prison is like one of the cornerstones of like sci-fi, and I think bounty hunting. I think bounty hunting is in this current age more of a sci-fi thing than it is if I said bounty hunter to someone, they're going to think of Boba Fett. You know, they're going to go bounty hunter. They're not going to think of. They might think of Dog the Bounty Hunter. I won't take that away.
Dog.
Considering we can't really adopt Dog. I'm pretty sure Dog's a shitty person, but I don't think I won't make a blanket statement about bounty hunters, but
there's got to be some bounty hunters with hearts of gold. Yeah,
that's true. I really am excited about how I love how specific the book is. I think that with a big kind of beautiful system and big flagship books, your tendency would probably be like to try to make something that can be the biggest net possible, right? Like you're trying to be like, oh, more player options, more little doodads, more this, more
wide
that.
variety of prisoners.
I really like that. It's like, how about just a bunch of bounty hunters and a bunch of bounties? It's 100 bounties. I love the layout. I want books like
you're talking about Wages of Sin.
Wages of Sin, yeah. I love a big specific book with a ton of tables and names and stuff in it. I think that is a big for me. That's a home run. I think that's super cool. I think I sidestepped your question though. I don't remember what you said.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, well, you hit on some really critical cultural touch points that I love thinking about. Space prison. Honestly, like,
Space
I mean,
prison.
say what you will about like the whole Vin Diesel franchise, Pitch Black, and I even love the second one. What is it called? The Chronicles of Riddick. Um, they
Hmm.
have this fun. The whole thing takes place on a planet very bluntly named Crematoria, which where like the sun is a deadly laser, and every time it rises, it burns everything. It's like the
That's great.
inverse of Pitch Black, but
Yeah.
they have this crazy prison where they're all in a bottle shaped thing that like vents for air at night and then closes during the day so the sun laser doesn't get them. And the whole thing is this crazy heist to get out of there. And that's a good like 45 minutes of the movie. It's so fun. But
Do you
let's
remember
play
the
Who's
movie
Better Killer.
the movie Lockout?
I don't. I,
By
I
Luc
don't think it's it.
Besson. It's
Besson,
the dude the guy who just directed The Fifth Element.
the guy who
Um,
directed Amelie and The Fifth Element.
yeah,
Wait, no,
it
different
was
people.
no. I'm it's the guy who directed Fifth Element, and it's Guy Pearce.
Chat. Yeah.
And they ended up getting sued, I think, because it's too much like Die Hard. It was Die Hard in space was
Oh
like
wow.
obviously the elevator pitch. It's Die Hard in a space prison.
I've got to
It's
check
called
this
Lockout.
out. I'm also
It's called
I'm
Lockout.
also drawn
Real.
to. Do you remember Enemy Mine? It's
It's I remember the the DVD cover. I
yeah.
don't think
It's I
I've
think it's one of
seen
the
it.
Quaids, and he's handcuffed to an alien like the whole movie, and like one's a bounty hunter, one's a prisoner. Yeah. Thanks, chat. Cowett Killer confirms Luc Besson and Alien Resurrection. Oh, okay, yeah, and he did do Amelie. That's right. Yeah, it's just really fun while watching
How
Alien
dare
Resurrection to
you?
think
How
about
dare you question
people
me?
falling in love over pastries. I'm so sorry, Jack. You've always been
It's
right.
when I'm
Um,
talking about Guy Pearce movies.
let's steer it into Mothership Town though. Specifically, like we did a fun thing in the AP where we used Waco Matrixo. It's probably past your bedtime. He's over in the UK. But we used his convict class in the actual play and had a blast. His trauma response that he's built into the convict for that is it's like a cousin to the androids where
Uh-huh.
to be a convict you anybody around you making a panic check makes it with disadvantage, and that came into play so many times in such delicious
That's
ways
so
that
fun.
all of you will see as it unfolds.
That's
But
great.
I want to talk about like you, Jack, you're an expert professional dungeon master. What is it about prison that brings new opportunities to players who are looking for a horror experience?
Um, well, I mean, this constraints breed creativity. If people say they want big open fields to run around in and slay dragons, but the truth is, a big open field. I mean, we've all played Breath of the Wild. It's fun, but it's very empty. You know what I mean? What you
Right.
need is a set of constraints that organically generate the obstacles that make the game fun to play. And you take that and then you put it in a prison where you've lost your sense of autonomy and you've lost your ability to uh, be actionable with your world. And like that
Mm,
is exactly like the theme of a ton of a lot of psychological thrillers do that. Like, oh, even like a movie like The Babadook, which has no prisons in it, right, is about who is oppressing who, and like is
yeah.
it's all in here, but like now who's losing themselves, who's lost their ability to act, to be rational. So I feel like you put that in a prison and it just kind of naturally happens. Because prisons are horrible places. They're not good. They're not good. I just made a thing on TikTok called oh, what was it? I can't remember. It was the avatar of something, but he was the painter, like the patron saint of incarceration, the avatar of incarceration.
What? How did I
Uh,
miss this?
yeah, it was a little thing of like your party dies, they could wake up in this interdimensional prison, and the basically like it. Oh, the Panopticon. That's what he was. The Panopticon was the name of the thing, and he was the living Panopticon. That's what it was. The living Panopticon. Yeah, prison level Silent Hill. Yeah, I think I think a prison's already really scary, right? And then if you
Right.
make it where it's not actually a prison's scary in like a real way, but and like take all of like real world shit about prisons out of it. But prison's scary in a real way, but supposedly it works within a system and it's supposed to protect you or whatever. But in a if you put it into like science fiction, or if we're trying to pass satirize like modern prisons with future sci-fi stuff, right? The sci-fi is a reflection of humanity. Like then you can say, how can we make this worse? And as soon as you start making a prison worse, it becomes really like discernibly like interesting and scary. And also a prison's a dungeon. I think that's maybe the
Right.
most obvious. In a, you know, like it or hate it, we're all rooted in dungeon games. I like it.
It's
I
a
like
dungeon with
dungeons.
extra rule sets, right? Like
Yeah.
how in your mind, like, and here's one thing that we like worked around, or not well around, but with like that really played an interesting part in the AP that's coming up, is the mechanics of being in prison while still being like a party within the game.
Uh huh.
How in your mind is can you structure a crew that becomes incarcerated as they move through their day? And spoiler alert, Jack, I want to from this seamlessly segue into plugging Dog Eat Dog, talk a little bit about your sit, stay, and play dead mechanics. But first, I
Yeah.
want to open up with just like what in your mind as a DM, like and an occasional warden playing horror games, is there a cognitive shift that needs to be made in order to take a crew and make them a crew of prisoners?
I mean, yeah. I that's probably a play style question, a system question. I think that I honestly, if we're talking about like player mentalities, I think that
Mhm.
most people like to play characters that are morally gray, even if they think they're playing good characters. And most people that are in prison, uh, in the real world and in real and like most good fiction, it's a mixed bag, right? You normally have a couple of really
Right.
scary individuals that you're like, oh, thank God that person's locked away, or that monster is locked away. But most no, I haven't seen Fortress. I love Christopher Lambert though. Sorry, I just looking at the chat right there. Um, the I think that the the trick is like, people in prison are just people. So I don't know if you have to do too much of a shift um, to get in that mind space. If, as a matter of fact, I think that a wrongfully imprisoned person is a very compelling character. So I think that
Right.
just once again, it kind of goes back to constraints, right? Like the the party might like a shift. It might be a good opportunity for party. If you're playing normally play a little nice characters to switch over and play something a little bit more seedy, or to kind of lean into like those anti-hero vibes.
Right.
That can always be fun. But I don't know. That's my answer. I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, I mean, yeah. I think that's entirely appropriate. I'm thinking about I think I was chatting with because we knew we were going to jump into make a new season of a Mothership actual play, and I was on a
Hmm.
road trip with my wife, and we were just kicking ideas around. One that we set on the side that we might come back to is we were going to, in the unaccompanied minors universe out in their sector of space nearby, there is a two-part prison. There's a planet and then a nearby. That's basically like Australia, the planet, insofar as being a prison colony goes, and then a space
Yeah.
station orbiting it, both of which are called Oubliette. And I might visit this later, and so we can just keep it to the live stream here. But one of my favorite things that my wife came up with was like, oh, what if this was about like forgetting, like an oubliette, where a place where you're left to be forgotten, and part of the drama comes from whatever hijinks they're in there to do, whether that's a plan an escape or assassinate another inmate, or whatever the plan
Hmm.
is, the vicissitudes of prison and what that means about time and memory kick in between episodes, say like 2 and 3, 20 years passes, and you can do
Ooh.
that cool thing that Mothership is so
Ah,
perfectly
yeah.
capable of doing, which is like jumping into the sequel, not just the
Hmm.
D&D style, like, and then the next day and then the next day, but just like, oh yeah,
Hmm.
uh you've begun to
Big old
forget
time jump.
why you were here. Yeah. And
That's a
so
really cool idea.
but then it's really cool, and so I have a feeling we'll be seeing that in Unaccompanied Minor season 2, but some flavor with that there, and just what it means to lose yourself, which is its own kind of horror, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah. Well, I
our
mean,
dog,
it's it's right built right in there. I mean, it's awesome.
Our dog was in the back seat, and I was like, "What a good boy!" And I think that's literally that fuzzy little thought. It was like, oh, like combining the most hospitable thing I can think of, which is just a good dog,
Uh-huh.
with the worst
Uh-huh.
thing I can think of, which is like total loss of autonomy in a prison, especially if you're innocent. And mooshing those things together, and so dog eat dog started to take form, and
Well,
it
and if
takes
the dogs
place.
are your wardens, I mean,
Right. Yeah, yeah.
that's a double
That's the one
whammy.
thing that's
That's
special about this. Yeah. Uh, I was really taken by everything that Watt's been doing over with Cloud Empress, as far as like the science fantasy and just the
yeah.
implications of what comes after, and so that you're talking about
Hmm.
something beyond just science fiction in and of itself. That's the fun thing. Like
Hmm.
science fiction, whether it's prophetic or if it's just like even if it's not a prognostication, it's a fun way
Sure.
to deal with stresses of the day, like climate change and stuff.
Hmm.
And so Dog Eat Dog takes place in our universe about 200 years after the moon has been destroyed. Hey, briefly, all projects just funded. Congratulations, everybody on Mothership Month. This is
Hey,
cheers,
yes.
Stanley Cup in the air. Yeah, I'm drinking
Oh
one.
my
I'm
gosh.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm a basic boy. Sips to you,
Cheers.
Big K Cola here. I'll hold a mug
Big
instead.
K
But
Cola.
yeah, in our world, the moon blew up 200 years ago, and everything went awry. And so some cool stuff happened, like they found some alien wreckage in the thing that blew up the moon, and so technology advanced even as like mankind got flipped on its head.
Hmm.
Yada yada. A bunch of sad things happened too. Our story takes place on the Vermont archipelago, which is I think is just absolutely thrilling as the flooding is kicked in here. And
Yeah,
there's only two
I
kinds
love
of
that.
like people super influenced by things like Hyperion really comes to mind. I don't know if that's one that's been
Hmm.
on the reading list for you, but I've been obsessed. And yeah, only like the like fabulously wealthy and the incredibly poor live on Earth now. And it's an Earth
Sure.
where a lot of animals have gone extinct. I love in the player's guide the description about like what a premium actual pets come at. Like synthetic ones are already expensive, but like organic animals in a universe
Hmm.
that's filled with nothing but death and unlife is astounding. And so I started to think about where do these dogs come from, and what if the dogs were extinct? And so Redfern purports to have resurrected the dog, and that's kind of like what this story is around. It used to be a canine rehabilitation ranch, and it now has Jurassic Parked
Um,
dogs back into
I
being.
I also like the idea that it was a canine ranch or kennel in the sense that like somebody historically in one's family, there's a very rich family. They've been 100 years ago we had dogs here,
Yeah,
and and we've kept it pristine because it's what Nana would have wanted. But
exactly. Oh, I'm so excited for you to meet. My
yeah,
favorite NPC is basically just Katherine Hepburn in a tweed suit. The
that's
director,
fantastic.
darling, so fun.
Take me flying,
But yeah,
Howard.
she sure was. Yeah, wasn't she? That's what this stream is now. It's just us doing Katherine Hepburn impersonations. You're
Yeah,
welcome,
I
internet.
that's all I want to do. Yeah, no, that's true. The chat at the time, it's like that is the that's a big part of Blade Runner, right? The synthetic animals and how they don't have you know, it's it's cool and they're expensive, but like real animals just don't exist. So if we're borrowing from like that vein, like where are these dogs
Yeah,
coming from? Where do you how did you get dogs? Did you Jurassic Park them? You know, did you was
exactly
there
right.
dog blood and amber
Oh,
somewhere that you've
my
extracted?
my kingdom for a Mr. DNA sequence that we could drop into this Void Stream style. We'll figure that one out. I think that'll be absolutely great.
I'm a
The
dog.
the poison makes the dose has such a great cartoon video
Oh yeah,
that you
it's
should
so
check
good.
out. Oh my gosh, you have to, I might even link that later. We'll cover it when we do their interview. It's such an
Yeah, yeah,
amazing
that's so
thing.
cool.
Um, but yeah, so it takes place at prison. There aren't guards. There's just these dogs for the most part, which is absolutely fabulous. And I wanted to touch on the thing that you came up with. Gosh, it was probably a week and a half ago. Max, well, then we fell in love with it immediately. But you took a look at the Red Fern Kennel Club map, and you were like, sit, stay, play dead. And from that, you developed a way to like build on the narrative mechanic of Mothership. Do you mind talking about that for a second?
Yeah, for sure. So
Mhm.
one of the things we've been putting into been developing for Void Stream, one of the things, well, sorry, things I love about indie games. I like to make mechanics. So smaller games with more concise rule packages allow you to to flex your creative muscle when you need systems.
Right.
So for Voidstream, we're doing that thing where I wanted to make time into a narrative resource, right? So if the party isn't stressed and there is a task that needs to be done, like you need to change the tire on the car or whatever, and there's there's nothing out there trying to get you from the woods, then you can attempt to roll, right? But the panic table is unforgiving. I'm sorry, the panic engine is unforgiving. Like you should avoid rolls if you can figure out a way to do them, right? So if you roll, you take stress. So for Voidstream, we're putting in a system where it's like, okay, well, if you are not currently under a situation of duress, not being chased by something, and you would make a roll that could be accomplished in time, you can spend time instead. And that escalates the kind of the horrors of the void stream, because as night gets closer, more things start to appear in the void stream. They basically become the radio waves become corporeal once it becomes dark enough. So you're trading a safety now for a danger later. So I was taking that idea, and I'll be real honest with you. I just finished playing Citizen Sleeper. I don't know.
It's so good.
It's so good, right? It's so good. I'm so excited for the next one. And I've just been
shout out to
obsessed
Alfred
with,
Valley. Did you see his did I show you those tarot cards that he made for Citizen Sleeper?
Oh my god, those cards were so cool.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you. Take it back.
No, that's fine. That's fine. We can always talk about my favorite people on the internet. I have no problem lavishing great designers with praise. So we're taking that idea and of time as a resource, and then Citizen Sleeper has this great, like time. It's all about time management. The entire game is literally you have these days, and you have to figure out how you're going to use these days. And meanwhile, you've got all these, Blades in the Dark style clocks running all over town, where you're having to see, okay, well, this thing's going to happen in 2 cycles, and this thing's going to happen next cycle. I can't do this for another 2 cycles. I have to do this before 10 cycles. I basically wanted to take that, strip it down to a very simple mechanic, and incorporate that time as a resource. So your sit, stay, and play dead basically allow the players at the table, all not just the warden, but everybody, to have a level of narrative control to simulate the long form campaign that is a prison break. Because prison breaks are never, all right, we got our weapons, let's get out. That is like never the movie. That is never the scenario. It's about stuffing, putting mannequins in the bed to fool the guards. It's about tunneling out of your the garden with a spoon. You have to do these things that are incremental, and I wanted there to be a way for that to work. And I also didn't want this module to just be, here is another dungeon, go kill everything in it. I specifically wanted it to be something that just doesn't, I mean, not that doesn't exist, not that there aren't really some great modules out there that do all sorts of interesting things, but I didn't want it to be like, here's your extra gear, you're ready to go do this. I wanted it to be the opposite of that, right? They get dragged in, just like in the little bit of the little teaser I got to see of a Dog Eat Dog, the actual play. In the van, bag on the head. You don't have a gun, you don't have anything. You're a prisoner. And yeah, Shawshank Redemptions, the whole vibe. So it's like, so essentially the idea is that like the play structured, it works normal. You have things that interest you. You have things available to you. It's a prison, but it's also kind of like it promotes itself as like a resort. It's a rehabilitation ranch. So you're free range prisoners some of the day. You're not always in a cell.
Very European. Yeah,
it's very European. Yeah. So the Poshake Redemption. That's so good. I'm stealing that.
Good work, Cody.
Good work, Cody. You win.
Yeah.
So the just to get back on track, the sit, stay, and play mechanic essentially makes it so that you go about the day, you do the things you're going to have to do. We're going to have objectives. We're going to have all the NPCs. We're going to expand all the NPCs that you've written already, and we're going to really dive in and figure out what their routines are, what their daily routines would be. We're going to figure out what their secret desires are, what their secret shames are. what things that the players can learn about all the people on this ranch that they can turn into leverage. So
Right.
the main game is going around looking for leverage, the mechanical term. Leverage is not an abstract. It's a thing you grab and you put in your pocket. And when you have leverage, you can use it for your stay. But the sit allows you to stop the fiction so that, okay, we've done this, we've done that. I talked to this guard about meeting me out in the woods. I promised him I'd kiss him around the mouth if he gave me the keys to the dog kennels, and he's into it.
Kissing Jimmy.
I'm gonna kiss Jimmy, and he's gonna give me the keys. But in order to do that, how do we do that in game? Right? We just like cut to it or whatever. Instead, what's going to happen is the players will say, okay, we've done all the things we want to do for the day. Now we're going to sit. When we sit, the gameplay abstracts and it goes into like that citizen sleeper, world view. We see the entire compound and we see where all the little people on the compound are. And then the warden says, okay, it's like a board game. It's like the warden says, okay, I know that on their timetable, they move from here to they've got cafeteria duty. And so you have to figure out when Jimmy is going to be able to get off his shifts. So you can go meet him in the woods to give him a kiss. And you're gonna have to make the plans to get there. He won't do a kiss until you get his favorite lip gloss. He's very particular about lip gloss, and so you're gonna have to get that off of this person. So you can have those like little moments, those little beats, and also so we can have if the players discover something horrible, they discover secrets, we can have an act break that progresses the narrative to when it's interesting again. Because what Mothership is,
go ahead.
No. Please.
Yeah. I was like, the liminal horror comes to mind with their investigation system. That's highly cinematic. It gives you that holistic view that doesn't. It takes you out of the D&D-ness of the nitty gritty of like, cool. Do I find the thing? Yeah. Sorry, you were saying Mothership.
So no. So like the idea is that you would have objectives, either player-led ones, or there would be things given to the players by the NPCs, objectives they need.
Right.
I need you to do this for me. Cool. Well, I need you to go clean the mongrel's pit because I'm not doing it this week. And it doesn't. And essentially turning the prison into a questing town hub, very D&D, right? But and basically they do the sits, moves the fiction, and when they do enough sits, when they sit for too long, and clocks go off and an escalation event happens. So if the prison's on low security, they have 6 low alert. I mean, not low security. If the prison's on low alert, they have 6 sets before the next escalation event. If the prison's on high alert, they might only have 3 before the next escalation event. An escalation event can be, we've decided to bring in some human guards. Actually, the prison didn't do anything at all. Some bounty hunters showed up claiming that one of the party members is a bounty. There is so we have all these things that can happen.
That thing connect.
And then connecting those together is the stay. So a stay is a sit, but instead of cutting out of the fiction, we stay in the fiction and we jump to a moment that would be technically during the prison's turn. So the warden runs everything during like a prison management turn. So it's really simple. It's not going to be. There'll be no bookkeeping. It will all be tables, and at worst, you'll have to draw some clocks on a piece of paper, Blades in the Dark style.
It seems like it lends itself really nicely to like a cozy 2 to 4 session game where you're like, this is just enough framework to get us through like a really satisfying. Opus you're not of a playthrough.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is Mothership is I know that lots of people play Mothership. I know that there are lots of people who play Mothership long term, but I'd say the majority of people who play Mothership, they lock in for 1 or 2 sessions. So because it's a lethal game, you know what I mean? So this campaign is supposed to emulate the narrative of a long form while still working in 2 to 5 sessions. And the little
that bite-sized thing that Mothership does so well. And
it makes it so that all the scenes you're doing are just the zoom ins. So we're not going, okay, we walked to this side, we walked to that side, we're doing this. We're only cutting to the beats and there'll be lots of player support for that, lots of like tables and whatnot. And then to
Sure.
give the players more agency, we have the play dead, and the play dead is a pool of actions that are pool of abilities that the entire party can access once a campaign. They can play dead, they can play, or they can dead. And playing dead is exactly what it sounds like. If a character would die, no, they didn't. They're pretending, and now they wake up somewhere advantageous in a in a restricted area, or they are in the infirmary, or maybe the warden's taken a shine to them and decided to take them into their office to make the you can do that thing where you do the old switcheroo. It's kind of like
Right.
I realize I'm just stealing a bunch of mechanics from Blades in the Dark, but that's fine. I'm allowed to do that. It's kind of like a retroactive. It's not a flashback, but it retroactively, it's how often in these action movies, horror movies, someone dies. No, they didn't. They're fine, and now they've got they've got one bandage on their rib, and they get to sneak around.
And specifically with Mothership, yeah, one of my favorite things to do is like, well, let's say somebody fails a check, instead of instead of punishing that with, oh, cool, the door doesn't open or what, like, just standard like entry level stuff.
Yeah.
I like for things to go fine, and then just oh, that thing that later is not going to happen, that's what doesn't happen. And so you just have all these little time bombs you start laying out as you go through. Mothership itself, oh, it does it so beautifully.
It really lays it out.
The look on your players' faces when they know they failed and you say it works. Because then it just creates this, then they're terrified of everything. It's just, it's so fun. So I really love that implementation. I want to do one more Jack question. Okay. Oh wait, sorry, you're not done.
No, I was just finishing the pitch. Yeah. We have the play dead. Play allows you to if you would be reduced. Oh no, I just changed it last night. That's why it's not fresh in my brain. Look at my page. Right
oh yeah, we'll have to look at the campaign page.
Well, because I like that. Play affects the whole group. Something bad is happening. The play allows you to just keep playing. And you go, not today, and the warden brings in a Deus Ex Machina. Basically, the idea is that like to balance out how lethal the game is, instead of just being like, oh, I want the players to be able to handle being knocked around, I'm going to give them some more hit points. I thought, let's lean into the genre. Let's make it more like where, oh, this is a fun narrative reason that this thing. If a play could be a bounty hunter shows up who was sent here by your parents, or it could be and then they end up
classic
getting
parents.
And then dead is simple, man. Dead is everybody's going to have to vote on it. It's the only rule, the only stipulation for this one. The entire party has to agree. But once a campaign, you can just declare an NPC or a horror is dead. And then when the players next come to it or in the scene, something dramatic, some Deus Ex happens that shows them that they either die in the moment or like when they get there, he's already dead in his apartment or whatever. It's just narrative currency. I'm such a slut for some narrative currency, baby. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube, but
okay, that's sorry. The last strike against our accounts. You've shut us down.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
No, we're coming up on time here now. I'm thrilled, Jack. I think you're a genius, and I am beyond blessed to have you as part of our little intrepid team of two here as we put together this BackerKit.
Too kind.
I like making stuff with you, man. You're handsome. You've got a beautiful voice. If none of that tickles your fancy, our first backer perk. Now that if everything's funded, then that means that this is unlocked. That means we just unlocked 3 Dog Night, doesn't it? The one shot.
Yeah.
So
very cool.
Jack. In the 4 minutes that remain of this stream, pitch it. I love your vision for this.
I'll elevator pitch it.
Yeah.
It's just a complete turnaround, right? It's you got one night to play. You still want to use the prison. Maybe you've been running it for other friends. You want to use it one session only. Instead of it being your criminals, you are human guards, and it's one night. And over the course of that night, 3 monstrous dogs get loose. It's a 3 dog night, baby. And you will, by the end, hopefully find out that 1 is not the loneliest number. I don't know. That was
really good. No, yeah, that's good. We'll tie it in.
But
Jeremiah was a bullfrog.
Jeremiah was, and he was a good friend of mine. We should have a Jeremiah or a bullfrog.
There's an NPC.
Yeah, so that's it. I think pretty straightforward, and I think because one shots are tough to make sure that they are balanced well, and I
Right.
just want to have something that's really easy to run. You'll have the whole of the prison complex, and then what we'll do is we'll just end up we'll make a couple more dog likes.
Yeah.
That's the big secret. We're just gonna get more monsters. This thing, I think we started. I think originally we said 6. And then I was like, but what if it was 10? And I think it might end up being closer with the 3 dogs, closer to 13. Uh,
Yeah.
I
And
like
that
making
seems appropriate,
monsters.
doesn't it?
Yeah. So
Gosh.
if at the very least, it will be a book full of monsters you can use um, in other games.
I'm thrilled that Three Dog Night is unlocked on day one. It's
Yeah,
and
that's so
and
cool.
I think it's what's the word I'm looking for here? Perspicacious. That hey,
I
not
don't know what
everybody
that
has
means.
time to. You've been thinking ahead. You perceived something aptly
Mm.
that like not everybody's got 4 sessions of Dog Eat Dog in them, but you might
Yeah.
have one terrifying night at Fern Kennel Club, and
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I can't wait to run that.
honestly, it might be the only way a lot of people interface with it. So my intention is also make it feel just as good as the other game. You know what I mean?
Just
Like
as fun as
there might be people who
possible. I
buy the
love
book
these
up, I can
monsters
only
so
play this for
much.
one night. Yeah.
Y'all, we have so much content coming out this week and this month. It's Mothership month. Why wouldn't we? There's crazy things. I think the very next person we're talking to is Silver Arm Press tomorrow night with the Interlopers. So tune in at, I think I have it at 8 p.m. It's on the BackerKit. You'll see it. Thanks so much for the incredible support you have. Chat, thanks for making all of these incredible suggestions about sci-fi must-sees, for filling me in on the taxonomy of Luc Besson's career, and for naming your favorite pup touch points. Please continue to support all of these projects, and especially ours. We love you.
Especially ours, yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much.
Good.
This
Yeah.
is I'm gonna be real with the people that are watching right now.
Get ready.
Your support literally is changing my life. I am finally I'm transitioning into doing this full time, and it's just been the best. And I just am so grateful. I'm so grateful to make games for a living. It's a dream, man. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's so cool. That's it. That's all I got.
No, this was, yeah, what the like sad, tired rictus on my face was me feeling actual feelings and not knowing where to look. And I think that's just kind of the animal instinct you awaken in me, Jack. As always, treasure speaking with you. It's been so great to just see what's going on in the Discord and here on the YouTube. We feel nothing but a resounding animal affection for all of you, and we will be back tomorrow night with more thrilling conversations with as many of the third-party publishers as will have us. This has been the Panic Table. I am sometimes Cameron Strittmatter. That's Jack Panic, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much.